everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to go over a comment by Chiropractor Dad. He responded to my video about the updated renderings of Temple Square once the renovation is complete. And he says, the St. George Temple also has archways on the side nearest to the visitor center with stairs leading up to it as well as all around the temple on the second floor. The visitor center itself has archways on the outside before you enter, and the metal fencing all around the temple grounds is in an archway fashion. The newly added temple annex that is coming with the renovations also has archways. Definitely symbolism going on. Pretty cool after seeing all of the archways you've brought up here. Yeah, I think so too, and I decided to make a video out of this because I found your observation interesting. Now, I know some people are probably like, why are you so interested in arches and Roman arches and arcades? Well, it may not mean anything, but I tend to think, like Chiropractor Dad, that there is, at the very least, with all the many temples that have arch features, that there probably is symbolism in that that's intentional. When it comes to the visual similarity between the Independence Visitor Center, the BYU Jerusalem Center, some of these like major church locations, including Temple Square, because this video we were talking about these two north buildings that also have very prominent arches that are visually similar to like the BYU Jerusalem Center and stuff. I don't know if it just turns out in the end that they're just like, oh, we just like it like that, then that's fine. At the very least, I do like architecture. I like looking at these details, and I just think it's kind of fascinating as we go. Now, these places that we've looked at so far, they're not the only ones that have arches, but let me just show you a few things. Let's take a look at the St. George Temple. Okay, so first, it says here, renovation is expected to be completed in 2022. So Chiropractor Dad or anybody that's down there, is this done yet? I saw on Google Maps that it says temporarily closed, so I'm assuming that the renovation is still ongoing, but let me know if you know how close it is, or if anything's opened back up at all, or whatever. Have they had like an open house yet? Are they going to have an open house? Over here, it says, I'll zoom in on this one. A key feature will be the demolition of the existing annex. That's this right here. In fact, let me go to Google Earth or Google Maps. And here you see the St. George Temple. And then this massive thing to the side of it is the quote-unquote annex, which seems to have more square footage than the temple itself. I have no idea why such a big annex is needed, but I guess they probably have a lot of different. I know the St. George Temple. It's a popular temple. It's the first. It's like one way that you can think of it is the first temple. Even though we had the Kirtland Temple and then the Nauvoo Temple, and this one would technically be the third temple of this dispensation. This is kind of like the first one that's been in operation since it was constructed, whereas the Nauvoo Temple was destroyed and then it was reconstructed in recent times. So it's kind of in one way really the first continuously operating temple of the church all the way up until now. So I'm assuming there's a lot of like probably marriages that go on here. There's also a lot of saints that live in that area. I think southern Utah is growing, if I'm not mistaken, so I don't know. I assume that this has to do with just how many people go there for different things. So anyway, but this right here, this is the annex. Let's go back to the article. Okay. So a key feature will be the demolition of the existing annex, which was added in the mid-70s to be replaced by an annex designed to appear complementary of the historic temple itself, with replicated turrets, windows, and columns. Quote, if the pioneers would have put in an annex, Robert said, we believe they would have done it something like this. All right, so let's take a look. In fact, let's go to this one. This one has more pictures. No, sorry, let's go to this one because they actually they get bigger, so it's easier to see. Okay, so here's the annex. Now let's look at the old annex. Let's go over here, back to Google Maps. Let's go to the street view. Okay, so this is what it looked like before. It definitely has the 70s feel to it. It's not like really bad looking or anything, but it definitely looks kind of outdated. This fountain right here looks outdated. So now on the old annex, you can see you do have these kind of 3 set arcades. An arcade is like a series of arches. So it did have that feature before. Let's go and look at the fence that he was talking about. Yeah, the fencing has this kind of, I guess, arcade, Roman arch pattern to it. So that's interesting. The fence also looks kind of outdated. So now let's go back to the rendering and see what's going on. Okay, so you can't really see the fence. In fact, it doesn't even look like there is a fence right there. So I don't know if that's how it's going to end up being. But yeah, look at that. You have the preservation of the arches, which it matches the temple. You can see the temple behind. Look at that. You know, and it's not just the second floor either. It does look like it's, you know, all 3 floors. And that's like the Salt Lake Temple. I have the Salt Lake Temple here. You know, it seems like that was a common design element of temples at the time. It's still being used today, but you can see on the Salt Lake Temple, you have like the basement, you have the second floor, or well, the first floor really, and then you have this top floor right here. So lots and lots and lots of arches. So, but yeah, you have this temple, the St. George Temple, and now you have the annex that, the annex that matches it really nicely. And you'll notice right here, you actually have this opening where you walk through the arch. Now, I've been informed that I've been learning a lot of architectural terms lately, like arcade and portico and colonnade and patina. And a portico is, I have that pulled up. A portico is a porch leading to the entrance of a building, or extended as a colonnade. A colonnade is like an arcade, but instead of arches, it's just a series of columns with a roof structure over the walkway, supported by columns or enclosed walls. So that's what a colonnade is, and I suppose that this is what you would call this right here. So it's interesting that on the new one, they have a portico, whereas the old one did not. And this right here is much more similar to what we've been looking at with the BYU Jerusalem Center, right? Right here. Now, when it wraps around the entire building, I don't know if you still call it a portico. But I don't know. I'm just going to refer to it when it's around the entire building. I'm just going to refer to it as an arcade. But you have this like open arcade on the BYU Jerusalem Center. And then when you look at the Independence Visitor Center, same thing. You have this arcade that wraps around the entire building. And that's one of the features that kind of stood out to me in these what I think will be future temples. You also have the Brazil temple. Now, in this case, since it doesn't wrap around the building, I would say that this is probably better defined as a portico. But you can see how just how similar it is to the BYU Jerusalem Center and the Independence Visitor Center. Now, I think I don't know. I can't really say, but this is a very interesting addition right here, how you have this portico that more resembles these different, what we were just looking at, BYU Jerusalem Center and Independence Visitor Center. It's funny because these people, I think they're just like they're like 3D models. I'm not sure if these are like actual photos that are put into the rendering, but they decided to include a baby baby crying as their parents are getting a picture in front of the temple annex. That's it's kind of funny that they would put that in the rendering. So I guess they wanted it to be realistic. So anyway, very, 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 very interesting features. And I feel like we're going to see more of this kind of thing in future temples. And then you can see like this huge Roman arch right here. That's like that's the main window, or the center window, as you're looking at it straight on. But you enter in through the sides, through these porticos. Okay, so this is the celestial room. Really pretty. I actually like this color scheme. Like, I wouldn't have it for my house, but I like how it's different and it looks nice. And then look at the doorways here. You have these large Roman arch doorways, which is really cool. Here's the baptismal font. Here's the recommend desk, and again, more Roman arches as you go into the main part of the temple, which is really cool, with this really pretty big window behind the recommend desk. Okay, here's one of the instruction rooms. Another one. It's beautiful. I love it. I like the pillars. Here is what would be the terrestrial room. Ceiling room. Really, really pretty chapel. Really pretty. More Roman arches, and then you have colonnades right here. These rows of columns. Here's a front view. The two front doors, just like on the Salt Lake Temple, are two Roman arches. So this corresponds really nicely with the Salt Lake Temple. And again, the new church symbol fits perfectly into the Salt Lake Temple's front doors. And I don't know the dimensions. I haven't tried it with the St. George Temple, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they have the same dimensions. And then you have these like pretty prominent arches up here, 3, which obviously seems to be representative of the Godhead, right? In fact, the middle one is actually a little bit taller than the other two. And then it has like this circular feature right here. I don't know if that's supposed to kind of be like the all-seeing eye, or I don't know, but you definitely get the sense that the middle one is the prominent one of the 3. So I would definitely say that's probably representative of the Godhead. Do they have holiness to the Lord on here? Isn't that that's like, that's where it would be on the Salt Lake Temple, would be right here. Where is it on this? Is that where it's supposed to go? I don't know. That's kind of weird. If you know, put it in the comments below. But yeah, just really lovely, lovely grounds around it. Here's another angle of the annex. The annex looks so much better compared to this. and I'm not like trying to be disrespectful of the original. Well, the architects in the 70s, they were doing what looked really good at the time. Yeah, so that was their style, but we've moved on. I think we've evolved from from that. Very beautiful, though. I like it. Okay, here. Okay, now we've gone through all those. I did want to show you on here. They have a picture. Okay, so everyone knows the story about how Brigham Young, he wanted like the larger steeple. Well, I didn't know that there was a photo that existed with what it looked like before. Look at this. This is the St. George Temple with the short, stumpy steeple. And I can understand why he felt that way about it. That looks kind of silly. Oh, look right here. This is the original temple. No, it doesn't have holiness to the Lord right here on the front. So this is, that's just how it is. Okay. So here it is with the shorter steeple. And then here it is with the corrected steeple, because the story is that he expressed his disappointment with that part of the temple. He wanted it to be taller, and then I think it was after he passed away, lightning struck, and so they decided to go ahead and honor his wishes. So here we have it right there. I think that's all I wanted to show from here. Okay, here's just another picture of the old annex. Very 70s looking. Here's the visitor center, and you can see that on the visitor center, it also has like a 3-set arcade right here on this side, and it looks like there's another one on that side. Let's see, Portico. Okay, so let's just look through these really quick. And there's also an interesting thing toward the end here I'm about to show you. So this is the Independence Visitor Center, which seems to be slated to become a temple in the future, according to Alvin R. Dyer's diary, a part of the 24 temple complex. So very, very significant. And I think that these arcades that go around it, very significant. BYU Jerusalem Center, very similar, with these arcades / porticos that go around the entire building. The Brasilia Temple, which is the capital of Brazil. And I'm pointing this out because, you know, future capital of the world. New Jerusalem, Old Jerusalem, capital of Brazil. And then we have the Rome Temple Visitor Center. The temple itself does not have an arcade or Roman arches, but inside the visitor center, behind the statues of the apostles, there is an arcade, which is really neat. I think that's really cool. And then we have the Salt Lake Temple, which is currently, it's the headquarters of the church. So just, you have a lot of Roman arches, and then with the renovation, these two north buildings, whatever they're going to end up being, has that same appearance. It's much more, it looks a lot more like the BYU Jerusalem Center and the Independence Visitor Center. It looks like the new, the St. George Temple Annex right there. So I definitely think that this is very purposeful. Here on top, you see the green patina, which I'm not a big fan of, but we learned yesterday that, you know, it's kind of prestigious looking. In fact, you see it over here, Naboo in Star Wars, they had patina all over the place, just all over the place. And you can see it's a really classy city, lots of arcades. Not so much in Asgard, but now this is more my style. I like all the shininess and the metal color, but some people go for more, you know, Naboo type people. So, but yeah, it's going to have a new copper top, and then it seems like it's going to have a new copper top, and then over time it's going to develop patina, which is just a fancy word for copper rust, basically. It's oxidation. That's all it is, and that's what rust is to iron. It's oxidation. So this is copper rust. That's how you can think of it. So I would encourage you to look at the temples around you. You know, your temple, does it have Roman arches? Does it have an arcade? This is mine. This is the Oklahoma City Temple, and no, it doesn't. It's all very square and boxy. It's really pretty inside. I really like it, but there's no arcades or anything like that. Now, the Kansas City Temple. Now, this is what I wanted to point out. This is really interesting because you see on the front, it has these gigantic Roman arches. You have like the main one right here, and then off to the side you have one on either side of the middle one. And then when you zoom in and you look right here, on the sides of the temple, it has a really massive arcade right here that goes all the way up. It includes like all three, I guess there's like 3 floors, so it includes all 3 floors, this arcade, which I had not noticed before. So look at that, and then again, let's go back here, look at this, look at this, look at this. The Kansas City Temple, which is currently the closest temple to the temple lot in Independence. This is the closest temple to that. I don't think that there's a mistake that they decided to make it look like this, with this arcade and these very prominent Roman arches right here. I think that's very, very purposeful. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. Now, there was one other thing I noticed as I was looking at the St. George Temple on Google Maps. Across the street, I'm assuming that this is like a stake center, okay? But what struck me is the weird shape to it. Let me turn it like this. Okay, I had seen this shape before. This shape has shown up right here. This is the Independence, Missouri Stake Center. So this is their stake center in Independence, Missouri. This is right next to the Independence Visitor Center, right? What I believe will be a future temple, part of the 24 temple complex. And if you missed it, I did a video where if you take out the stake center, you could, using this land right here that the church owns, if you know, they got the permits and everything was okay, they could do the 24 temple complex right here. All they have to do is take out this visitor center, the parking lot, this parking lot. But anyway, let's just focus on the visitor center itself. You'll notice this kind of odd shape. It's like, well, if you turn it around this way, it kind of looks like a cross. But, you know, you could also compare it to like, I don't know, like a turtle type shape, or like a diamond. And then you look over here and it's like the same thing. There is some difference to it, but I just wonder if both of these buildings use the same plan. But I think that that's pretty interesting. And I wonder how many other stake centers there are that follow the same pattern. Now, when I looked at the street view, it looks like they're building a new one, possibly. This says, it just showed it, 2019 Google. So maybe this was kind of part of this whole restoration, or not restoration, renovation effort that's going on. I don't know. If you live in St. George, let me know. But that's a very interesting thing that this matches that other stake center. And like I said, I'm sure that they've done it other places too. But I would say that the St. George Temple is a special temple because of its history. And you notice that with all these like very special temples that have significance, whether it's in the past or in the future, it seems like more more emphasis is put on them as far as like making sure that they have certain details included, like the arches and so on and so forth. So you'll have to let me know if you agree with that. Do you find that interesting? Now this new one, I don't know what it's going to look like. It doesn't look like it has a turtle shape, so who knows? But at least at one point it did, and it matched up with the Independence, Missouri Stake Center. Okay, so that's all I have for this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you live in St. George, or you pass through there often on your way to Vegas, or from Vegas to Salt Lake, if you go to this temple, just let me know everything that you think. And if you have any of those questions that you can answer, please do so in the comments. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, share it, especially if you have any friends in St. George or Independence, Missouri, or any of these places, you know, Brasilia, Brazil, anyone that you know that's going to the BYU Jerusalem Center, whatever. Do you know anybody that's in Rome? Or do you just know anybody that's interested in this kind of stuff? They like looking at the details of church architecture. And I'll talk to you guys later.